Hello, everybody. And as you're logging in, please make sure you've got first, last name, what school or organization you're from, what district, and then if you're certified member, kind of your member status there, make sure that's listed so we can track this attendance. Also, once the meeting gets started, please be prepared to leave your cameras on so we can help keep this going and make sure everyone gets the credits as they deserve. And we'll get started here in a few minutes.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, obviously, we'll see what spring ball looks like and things like.
All right, just as a reminder, as everyone logs in, hope everyone's having a great day. Please make sure you have your first, last name, your organization, or school that you're with, includes your district and your certification status, certified member, so we can best track attendance. Also, please plan and prepare to have your cameras on the whole time. It helps us out with ensuring certification for these meetings is possible. And we'll get started here in a couple minutes. All right, it is 11 o'clock, at least out here in Arizona, probably different for wherever you guys are at. Wanted to get started on time. Thanks again for everyone showing up. Great group so far with 87 here. Probably have a few more trickle in before we get started. But today we get to talk about relationship development, which is a big part of the profession in general, but a huge part of equipment manager life. Just make sure that you've got all your bases covered, and years getting to know successful equipment managers. This is a big reason why, is learning how to develop those relationships and grow from them. So we got a great panel today. As we get started here, just a few things from us at Uncommon. As a reminder, you guys are cleaning up, cleaning out, clean out for a cause program. Please let me know if you need bags, boxes, shipping labels. We are getting really close to actually hitting 1 million pounds as an organization in the 10 years we've been around. And we really would love your help in that. Please let us know. I also announced this the last meeting. We have a new program called Locker Room Direct Surplus. So if you guys ever want to do a surplus sale online, we have a model to do that with. Had some interest come from the last meeting. Just let me know. I'd be glad to walk you through the process and how we do all that for you guys. And just a couple reminders, those of you guys that have students working with you, we do have a scholarship program. It's a big one, helped by a lot of our sponsors. The deadline for that is April 26th. And just another reminder, we have CWS, which is hosted here in Minneapolis. That is June 21st to the 22nd this year. So next couple things, as I've mentioned a few times already, make sure you got your first, last name, your school and organization, district, certified, not certified, and make sure you have those cameras on at all times. That really just helps us make sure that these credits are legit as we pursue other ways of getting you guys credits down the road here. So, and at the end, be prepared. If you haven't done this before, the QR code will show up at the end of the session. So make sure you log onto your phone sometime during. That way you can grab that QR code off the screen here as we finish up. A couple sessions here coming up before we meet for convention. Next session will be here in March, discussing kind of what NOCSI means for us as the equipment managers and how it impacts us long term. Then we get into a little bit of football prep during spring ball, and then some policies, procedures discussion here before we get together here in Atlanta in a few weeks. So. And one little plug, mentor mentee program. Please, if you're looking at doing that, reach out to Katie and Jalen. There's your email to use there as well. Need both. I think the program has done a lot of good for folks. I know I've fielded a couple calls for people looking at that, and it'd be a great opportunity for whether you're looking for a mentor, looking to be grow in the industry and be a mentee would be a big one. So if you've got time or interested in see what that really takes, please contact Katie, and we can get that started for you. And today's amazing panel, we've got Quinn over at Trinity going to join us, Kevin from University of St. Thomas, and Emily joining us from Arizona. And really excited to get some feedback. All three have had different experiences working with support staff, other ways of kind of working together and sharing their experiences. As we go through this, as a reminder, if you do have any questions, please take time and send them through the chat. It helps out. Would love to have everyone give the opportunity to talk, but that becomes difficult with trying to mute and unmute people. So if you do have something, please send it through the chat and we'll get to them at the end and make sure we don't have any duplicate questions and things like that. So without further ado, Quinn, Kevin, Emily, we'll get started here. We'll start kind of in that order, but the big question here is just kind of as an intro, kind of explain what your current role is and what other support staff are you working with on a regular basis. that kind of help you do your day to day. So Quinn, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. First off, for everyone coming and joining us today. It's great support for this program. So obviously I'm the head equipment manager here at Trinity University. We're a small D3 school in Texas. On a daily basis, I work very close with our sports staff as far as our athletic trainers, SIDs, our facilities and game operations, people like that. They're kind of people I deal with on a daily basis, and we're kind of constantly going back and forth about stuff that upcoming weekends, game schedules, with many of us overlapping on multiple sports, that it's easy if we have a good communication front, then that way, if anything comes up, we can always help out each other with any changes, adjustments like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. Kevin, would you mind sharing a little bit?
Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well. So my name is Kevin Zach, and I'm from University of St. Thomas up in St. Paul, Minnesota. I am the Assistant Director of Equipment Operations. I used to be the one-man show, as Quinn would probably justify for me. So we've gone from D3 to D1. Nobody else has ever done that. So it's all these support staffs are ever growing. And so I used to be like a one-man pony show, and now with everybody there and all these new hires, that the roles have gotten a little bit more, not so much on that plate, but the plate is overflowing, if you can understand where I'm coming from. The biggest people that I deal with, honestly, are the athletic trainers. We work so well together that, we're always talking with each other. We're always figuring out what the best situation is for student athletes. So on a consistent basis, I'm dealing with the athletic trainers. So, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Kevin. And Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Dwalcuddy, and I'm the Director of Equipment here at University of Arizona. And I oversee the McHale Equipment Room, which is where majority of our sports are based out of. And I mean, I agree with all the other two that, like, athletic trainers are probably one of the most people I work with, and then same with events and facilities, because we have a lot of dual sports overlapping and that type of thing. So we have to coordinate locker room spaces, who's covering for who, because there's not enough of us to go around. I also do a lot with Dobos here, as far as travel, packing, laundry, on the road, that type of thing. And then compliance is another big one here, because we have people continuously adding roster, subtracting from roster, things like that. So.
Thanks, Emily. So for our next question, Emily, we'll start with you. How does your role overlap with other support staff you're interacting with, and what's the best practices of working together?
ATs for sure. We go especially with injuries. If an athlete has an issue, mostly I deal with a lot of foot injuries and shoes is mostly what I see from ATs. So I had a tennis player that couldn't wear Nikes and actually was in the wrong size of shoe for 2 years he was here. So I worked with them really closely on trying to make sure he's in the right shoe, getting him a different fit, that whole thing. So I communicate a lot with them. I prefer in person just because I'm a very personable person, but if you can't, obviously, if they're out of office or something, I text or call is how I mostly communicate with my people. And then again, events, we have events and a facilities department here. So our events puts on the actual competition or game or whatever. So we had a softball, basketball overlap 2 weeks ago. So, I had someone helping me at softball while I was at basketball, but we also communicated locker room spaces for showers. You have officials, you have coaches, all of those. So we work with that. Towels, if we need to run towels or new softballs or anything like that, I guess. So again, preferably in person, but mostly probably text or call.
Thanks, Emily. Kevin?
So I would go along with what Emily was saying. It's mainly the athletic trainers. When I first got here about 10 years ago, there seemed to be like this imaginary wall between the equipment staff and the athletic training staff, and that was a lot of old blood. For whatever reason, I wasn't around for that. And so when I first started here, the athletic trainer now started at the same time, and we took down all, quote unquote walls. And so we work very closely together, especially when we're dealing with sports like football in particular. If we can manipulate a pad to get this kid out, out of practice and out of games, that's our job. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get our athletes healthy, keep them healthy, and then make sure that they're practicing and competing at their highest ability. The athletic trainer here that I work with a lot is his name is Jim, and Jim and I, like, we've been through a lot together, so like we kind of understand where each other's coming from on, hey, if you do this and what about that, and we both have that same mindset, and the mindset is getting these players healthy, get them back out in practice and games.
Thanks, Kevin. And Quinn.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot of what the other two said. I work very closely with everyone. It's a little different at the D3 level where, we've got so many moving pieces. So we usually have a group chat with schedule changes. So and that includes our trainers, SIDs, event management, all them. Because actually, if we have anything like rain delays or anything like that, we can all just be on one chat and saying, "Hey, we're gonna start this time, that time, this." Like Emily said, in person is a lot easier. So if I do have to just try to get that, otherwise always text or calls, email threads. One way at our level is I send communication, like if I'm emailing the baseball coaches about something, I'll include their athletic trainer, the SID group, and just kind of CC them, because that way it's just one common thread where we can all refer back to on those stuff. But like they said, a lot of the overlap mostly comes within the athletic training realm. Just because, again, like if we're having to have shoulder attachments for football pads or padding, as far as we've had basketball guys take knees to the hips, and so getting them kind of a girdle or a padding, like a hex padding on their hip, that way if they're getting kneed again, they're not getting as bad. But it's just kind of constant conversation, a lot of shoes, a lot of like socks, padding, heel cups, all that stuff, kind of interacting with the trainers, saying like, hey, so and so's been feeling this, or they got banged up in this weekend, what can we do as far as this, or their shoes rubbing in a weird way, or broken shoelaces, whatever it may be. It's kind of having that constant communication. But again, the best way to do it is, in my opinion, in person. And then if you, again, at office, calls, texts, emails, kind of like Emily and Zach, or Kevin said, excuse me.
Thanks, Quinn. Jumping to the next question here. Why is it good to have working relationships across the various roles to benefit the teams and departments? And I think there's some obvious here. If you guys could take some time and maybe dig into some specific relationships and share some examples of how it benefited, whether it be coaches or athletes or both, I think it'd be great for the group to hear. So we'll start with Quinn on this and then work our way back through.
Yeah. Not to steal Kevin's thunder, because I'm sure he'll get into it, but having those divides in the department because it never kind of creates good, we're all trying to move in the same direction. I would just like to use the analogy of, a centipede's only good if all 100 feet are going in the same direction. So to best utilize what's best for the every aspect of the department, it's best if we're all on the same page and kind of, having those relationships across the board. And it just kind of helps that we spend enough time together that if you have bad relationships with them, it kind of creates some friction and doesn't really get the job done. So in my thoughts, it's always like, what can I best do in my own right to get the best job and the best production out there, whether it be for practices, games, travel, whatever it may be. So I've always tried hard to have those good working relationships. Even on the friend side, like, talking to each other, just not about the sports themselves, but like you said, great to have that connection with also the coaches and the players, knowing what their feedback is. And that way, hey, maybe they mentioned something to me that I can go to the trainer and the coach, like a player just in passing, something like that. And it's good to have those working dialogues across the board, because then no one's getting left out. Nobody, a conversation is missed. And then something doesn't happen. And of course, then you're scrambling to do stuff. If you kind of have those conversations on the forefront, it kind of continuously keeps the ball rolling in the right direction.
Great advice. Thanks, Quinn. Kevin, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what Quinn said. I think he hit the nail on the head on that one. The other thing is we're all here for the student athletes, okay? And I'm in a unique situation on how we travel. Like, we don't travel in the best accommodations, so everybody has to chip in. Everybody is helping lug stuff all around the fields and airplanes and buses. Like, we're humble enough not to have any titles, and I think that's gonna be really good for anybody. Um, and yes, I'm an equipment manager. We have an athletic trainer that travels with us. We have strength staff. At the end of the day, they don't care what their title is, as long as we're doing that common good of getting our teams where they need to go, or getting our athletes to be at the best spot health wise. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And Emily.
I agree with mostly everything that they say too.
Yeah.
I just think we're all here, like they said, to provide for our student athletes and our coaches to give them the best experience while they're here. But I think it's important because, like, for example, I'm packing our softball team right now for a 12-day road trip. I can't remember, but I'm not going because I have other commitments here. So it's nice that, like, the athletic trainer, the strength coach, our ops person, our managers, they're all pitching in to help with the laundry while we're on the road. And I've kind of walked through what I would do and like how I would handle it. So it's nice that they like are willing to help out since I'm not going. It benefits everyone involved. So I think those relationships, like if I didn't have those relationships, I don't know if they would do that or help me out in that situation. So I just think they're all relationships are important because I feel like, especially here, we work with every single department. And at some point, you're going to need something from those departments. So I just think that's an important thing to have.
Yeah, it's a good mentality to be all on the same team. And I think Kevin brought up a great point of we're all in this together for the student athlete. I think that was a great point to bring up is as long as we're all in it together, that helps out a bunch, especially managing things that, are outside of our job description, which is great. Jumping to the next question, we'll start with you, Emily. How do you go about poor communication with other areas? And I know Kevin kind of alluded to the walls there, so I'm interested to see how we came up to that. How do you come up to resolutions to best help teams and departments and make sure everyone's needs are met? So we'll start out with you, Emily, and work our way back through.
I'm pretty blessed in the aspect that a lot of the people here are very good. Very, like, they all help. I wouldn't say they're the best communicators, but they all are willing to help each other out. And so I guess when it comes to poor communication, I would say I would just do my best to communicate what I can on my end, as far as the situation, whatever that would be. Just make sure I'm communicating what I'm going to do and how it's going to run, or like how I'm going to get to the end point, I guess. But I think it's ultimately up to the other part, like I guess the other department, if they don't give you something back, I don't know. It's really hard I really don't have an answer for that is what I'm trying to say. I would just do your best to do what you can control. But then you could also get more people involved. And like, if I tell the manager something, I make sure to tell the Dobo and a couple other people just so they know what's happening in case like something falls through the cracks or something like that. But for the most part, I have good people around me, which I'm very fortunate. So I haven't had too many of these situations, so I don't have a lot. I'm sorry.
That's good. I think the best piece of advice there is don't just rely on one person, right? Because, someone gets put on a different duty, or if you're old like me, you forget, and it's good to have other people to remember. So that's awesome, Emily. Thanks.
Yeah.
Kevin, can you share a little bit on this this topic?
I'm going to kind of back what Emily said. There's not a whole lot of poor communicators at this campus with the administration that we have in place. They don't really tolerate that, if you will. I know the one thing like we do here that I appreciate is at every season, so fall, winter, spring, we have a preseason meeting, and then we have like for example, football, we have a preseason meeting. Hey, what's everybody's role and responsibilities here? And then if it's a home game, we always have a Thursday before home game everybody sits down, what's everybody's job and responsibility, and then we always have that postseason. So if there is any miscommunication on that one, we always bring that up and we always say, hey, how do we fix this moving forward? If it's a 1-off or 2-off, then I will more than likely just go the Dobo, if you will.
Thanks, Kevin. Quinn,
Yeah, again, like them, been very blessed to have, pretty good communication across the board through training staffs and a lot of sports staff, SIDs, that group. The most times I see the communication breakdown is sometimes with our coaching staffs. Every coaching staff is different. They have different communicators, different way. So I've learned to just be very proactive about it. If there's stuff that I really need done, make sure I'm like, how it's unfortunate that sometimes you have to be the one that kind of makes all the moves, as much as, Emily said, like, it'd be great if people would come halfway, like we're adjusting to them, they can adjust to us. But a lot of times, unfortunately, you just have to kind of pound the drum a little bit and keep at them, because that's going to be the best way to get, the information you need to best affect the teams and make everything kind of going. So, I think kind of backing off what Emily said, sometimes you have to get other people involved. Like if it's something where you go to superiors to ask, like, hey, I'm having trouble communicating with this person. I've tried communicating with them. Would you be able to sit down with the 3-4 of us, whoever it may be, and kind of mediate, or kind of say, hey, look, I'm addressing these issues and looking for the support, whether it be from your AD or like whoever your, associate AD is, whatever the reporting, kind of chain of command is. And that way, and sometimes that can help, because then it kind of sees, hey, I've tried doing this on my end, it's not working. How can we best fix this? And then again, kind of like how Kevin said, is kind of having, meetings and stuff where it says, hey, if this didn't work, how can we fix this? And just kind of being those proactive thoughts about it. For us, we have a weekly staff meeting. It's every, Wednesday, actually. We sit down as a group, it's all head coaches and administrative staff, and then each administrative staff group has a report, in a sense. And it's a time, if we have general stuff like, hey, we need this, hey, we've got this coming up, can people please be understanding? Or if it's like compliance, you have your rules test to take care of, whatever it may be, the different areas are allowed to talk and kind of give updates week to week about what's going on within their departments.
so thanks, Quinn. We'll jump over to the next question here. What's one piece of advice about building these relationships and their importance to the success on and off the field of play? And again, I think we talk about one piece of advice. I don't know if there's any one key to all the issues, but I think this would be good for both brand new people in the industry, or just sports, or even the veterans that are struggling. Some pieces of advice that would fit those needs there. So Quinn, we'll start with you and work our way back through.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think there's one set piece of advice. I think it's an ongoing thing. But the one thing I've always found that's very helpful is not kind of treating like a job when talking to these people. Like, it's not like you're only communicating solely to be like, I need this information out of you. What helps build those relationships and makes them more open to being better communicators is just building those personal relationships as well, kind of having that balance and coinciding with both. You talk about just more than just the sports and what's going on. Like, you talk about your personal lives and learn about that person, ask them how their day is going. Like, all those things kind of build, because then you're building that trust and that communication within personal aspects that it then carries over into professional. If you constantly are just saying, hey, I'm just need this out of you, and it's completely work based, then it kind of feels like rigid and, not able to kind of have those feedback and thoughts. But if you kind of build and have these open dialogues and just friendly conversations, it kind of turns into, something that becomes, when it comes to work stuff, easier to have those conversations, easier to have that and kind of build, and then leads to the success. So it's kind of, a chain reaction in essence.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. Kevin, do you have anything to add there?
I'm going to go off of what Quinn said. Get to know the people that you're working with closely outside of work. Ask them how their family's doing. Ask them what's going on in their life. We spend so much time together, day in and day out, so many hours in a day, so many hours in a week with these people. Get to know them, see how they're doing. And if you can get in, so not only the personal, but the business side, then you're going to make a great relationship with these people, and it's going to last forever. I know for a fact that, going back to that athletic trainer, we've been through a lot together, and it's not only on the field or in the workplace, but just in our personal lives, just getting to know each other. You know, you gotta make it enjoyable somehow, working with these people, because you're working with them so many hours in a day.
Thanks, Kevin. Emily, would you like to add anything here?
I mean, I agree with both of them. I'm a big person, like people person, so I enjoy getting to know the people I'm working with, both personally and professionally, because it also helps you like know how they tick and know what makes them go, that type of thing. But I also think one thing that's helped me is being present at my sports. So like I work with like bigger sports and smaller sports, and I do one thing I hear a lot is like if I can make it out to practice or make it to one of their like games or whatever and just be present and show that I care. It goes a long way with both the coaches and the student athletes because they're showing like you're showing interest in them. That might be something else to add to like also getting to know them personally. I found that has helped me. But
That's
I know
awesome.
we're all busy, so I get that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's an awesome piece of advice. Being present there where it's not expected, right? You know, it's different
Yeah.
to be present in your equipment room, but to be present at practice or I know one of my favorite things on campus was showing up randomly to golf practice and getting some free golf lessons. So you guys get the opportunity to do that. Check that one out. So thanks for Emily. Appreciate that. Want to kind of open it up to the three of you. We'll start with Emily, kind of last kind of comments or thoughts on kind of helping with these relationships, maybe different groups to focus on. Maybe, one thing I thought reading through this, is there any department activities that you guys have done that really helps build relationships that you guys can share as people are struggling or maybe new that would be good. So Emily, we'll start with you.
Just my last thoughts. I think relationships are very important in athletics, as we all know. So I think if you can build those relationships, it just makes your job so much better, easier, and you just enjoy it more. I mean, we talked about the normal like departments, like your athletic trainers, your compliance, all of that. But I think it's like all departments in athletics. We've just started recently here, this like employee engagement kind of thing where they put together like learn to play things. So like we learn to play basketball or we learn to play volleyball. We take an hour out of our day and like the coaches teach us like some basic skills. Like, yeah, you can't attend all of them, but they're nice things to do. And you get to know other coaches, other staff, I don't know, other things like that. We've been very fortunate to do more employee like engagement stuff. So you get to know more than just the people you work with day in and day out. So I think that's very helpful. Yeah, so I think that's what I would suggest or my
Awesome.
final comments.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Kevin, do you have any final comments or advice out there?
I'll kind of back what Emily said and said relationships are key. In the days of our D3 world and before COVID, believe it or not, we called it Crockpot Wednesday, and everybody would take turns to bring food into actually it was the equipment room at the time, and it was on Wednesdays because Wednesdays we had games, and they're the longest days of the week. And people brought in, it was lunch, it was a chance to see them from a different aspect. It wasn't business, it was just kind of fun and laughter, and it made the whole experience more enjoyable. And I missed it. I miss it dearly because you don't see them, especially with how we're moving and all the full times that we have now. But like I said, you got to see people from a different relationship or a different point of view. And that was very key for making us figure out how each other ticks and how each other works and doesn't work and works well with this area. So other than that, I would say relationships are key. So
Awesome.
thank you very much.
That's great, Kevin. And Quinn.
Yeah, I'll echo them a lot. One thing that our department does every year, we every Christmas time and then at the end of the year we have like same thing. We have during Christmas time, we have a potluck where everybody brings in a dish, and then we all kind of sit down and, we can get away from the sports realm of it, and we wear like, Christmas sweaters, ugly Christmas sweaters, and we have like, we have a white elephant. We do stuff to kind of have that team building and bonding, and then at the end of the year, we go and get barbecue, and we have, again, same thing, kind of a round table, a chance to get away from those aspects of it. And if something you can incorporate in your, like, even your equipment rooms, or among sports staff on like game days, if you guys want to have like like pizza, and you just have it in the equipment room, say, hey, anyone who wants to stop by, just chat before, like, before, after games, a chance to just like build those relationships. One other thing that I was thinking when everyone was talking was, as much as we want to like internalize just like the athletic department as a whole, I think that there's importance to having relationships beyond just the athletic realm within the campus as a whole. We're very fortunate, we are a small school, so I've gotten to know our vice president very well. Our president is constantly at games, having those relationships, building them, because then it kind of comes back to athletics if you have those opportunities. I think that's always important, that if you have opportunities to, if there's something going on campus, and it's like, if it's maybe like different events, like our school does like a nacho hour every Friday, where it's like you just go to a place, they have like free nachos, and you can talk to students and faculty, staff, everyone who's involved with the university. I think there's always great opportunities expanding beyond just athletics, because it kind of comes back in folds that they're more willing to say, hey, you're showing your face here, that it, building those relationships that can kind of trickle down back to athletics, that when you guys need the support, or, when you're hosting an event that you want fans to come to, and people are coming to these things because you're showing that support outside of just your little bubble, in essence. So I always think that's one thing to always kind of perpetuate within like the aspects of working in a college atmosphere.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. Any other, please, if you have questions, I got one here from Trevor, but if you have any questions, please send them through. Kind of open to whoever wants to take this one first. What strategies are you guys using when new personnel come on and kind of do, hey, I'm the equipment manager, or hey, I'm your contact for this, that you found that kind of gets that kind of that relationship off the right foot? That's a great question, Trevor.
I can field that one. For us, it, obviously depending on the role, it's usually led by our AD or head coach if it's an assistant coach. Kind of an onboarding and an ability, or it's just, at our first staff meeting of the year, like I said, we have our weekly staff meetings. They'll introduce any new staff members, coaches. That way everyone in the room can kind of get familiar. But even still, it's taking a step further, that even if they haven't been led around basically the department and said, this is so and so and so and so, again, being proactive, making those steps like, hey, this is my role, I cover this, this, and this, and how, and if you need anything, just let me know. Here's my email, here's cell phone number, whatever it may be, just kind of bridging that gap early on, just so that way it's not, hitting the ground running. Also, I don't know if any other departments have it, but, having like an orientation, like, kind of booklet or something to kind of help onboard people of contacts and everything that's kind of in there, to kind of, that way when somebody new comes on, they know exactly who to go to, what's this, like who covers which parts, whether it's compliance or, the athletic trainer that's responsible for their sport, kind of so on from there. I always think that's a good way to go about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Quinn. Kevin, Emily, do you have anything to add to that?
I do. I mean, I would say you can go and introduce yourself to them. Hey, work here. And, and each school is different. Each athletic department is going to be different. So it's like how they can adapt and how well they can adapt to how we're trying to accomplish tasks and stuff like that. But I do just tell them, hey, if you need anything, let me know. We're going to do our best to make sure you have it. Whether it be athletic trainers, whether it be new assistant coaches, new operations personnel, new administration. We just tell them, hey, we're going to try to do everything we can to, if you need something, we're going to be here for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions? I'll turn it over. If you got a question, please send it in. I do want to give Jalen a moment. He wanted to send or say a little something before we get going here.
Thanks, Josh. Before I do, Melly, are you on the call? Do you want to speak?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Another great turnout, great job panel. Emily, congratulations on beating Stanford with only 7 players. That's good stuff. I don't care who it is. I always go with the underdog in any game. I think you might have gotten a newsletter in your inboxes recently. There's an invitation personally for me to hopefully see all of you at convention in Atlanta this June. Remember, it's a week earlier. Also, Glenn Sharp voting is open and up and running. Please take a moment to read the bios and vote for our one of our most treasured awards that we can give to our profession. Been on a lot of planning meetings for a lot of things happening for the organization. I'm really proud of the work that the organization has done this past year. And looking forward to seeing as many of you out there. We've got a wonderful keynote speaker. If you haven't noticed, we're going to have a tour of the College Football Hall of Fame with a nice meal there, and that'll be really nice. And that's right before our District 5 meetings. So other than that, that's all I had to share with you. Hopefully the weather's treating all of you well. It's been a little rough. Yesterday it was 77 degrees here in Chicago, and now it's like 20 something and a little bit of snow. So I always say when I bring new coaches in here or recruits, if you don't like the weather in Chicago, just wait a couple hours and it's definitely going to change for you. Appreciate your time listening to me and to the speakers, and everyone have a great day.
Thanks, Melly.
Melly, thank you so much. Kevin, Emily, Quinn, great job today as well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to participate in this. Josh, thank you for leading it as always and helping set up all the technology stuff. Greatly appreciated. One thing I took away from the call today was from Emily, Quinn, Kevin, is how intentional they all seemed about their relationships with their coworkers. And Melly has hit on this before about being intentional and being active in the association. So I don't want this to come across as preachy, but I did want to make a point to say this today on the call. We have 123 people on the call at one point today, which is awesome. We've been averaging over 120 throughout this entire year, which is awesome. But it's interesting to me when I have conversations with other equipment managers across the country. One thing I get told a lot is, well, the association should do this for us, and the association should do that, and leadership should do this. Well, I think it's interesting because we all of us are the association. So make sure if you're getting on these calls and you're engaged and you're asking questions, which many of you are, make sure you're looking for other opportunities to get involved. And one that I'm going to give a plug for, I was looking through the attendance today, and there are 13 people from District 5 on this call today. And as I said in the last call, District 5 is looking for a social media manager to help Anthony Martin out with social media for District 5. Easy opportunity to get involved and to sit in on those district meetings and to learn more about how the association runs and to learn more about what's going on in those board meetings. Easy opportunity. So if you're in District 5 and you're on this call, I know who the 13 are. I urge you all, get involved in some capacity, not just getting on these calls to get the CEUs, but get involved. If you want to lead one of these calls, if you want to be a panelist, if you want to be involved in any way, what shape, form, or fashion, if you have questions you want to ask, my phone number is 662-279-7197, 662-279-7197, and my email is jalenst@umich.edu. Please reach out if you want to be involved. I don't want to hear it in emails and conversations. If you want to do something, please let me know what you want to do, and we will find a role for you. So I'll get off my soapbox, but thank you.
Jalen, thank you. I couldn't have said it
involvement.
better. Jalen, thank you so much. I appreciate that backup and support, because John Falk used to say this all the time. AEMA is an organization of athletic equipment managers for athletic equipment managers. 50 years coming up this June. And it's come a long way. We got a ways to go yet, but where we need to grow, we need everybody to contribute. And that means like get involved in your own organization, no matter what level you're at. I don't care, high school, what division, professional. We need you guys to be front facing in our organizations of what the value it is you're bringing to your organizations, because we bring a lot of value. And the more that we are more front facing in what we do, the better it all will all be. So that's something very easy for all of us to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Melly. Josh, thank you as always for leading this. Great job. And panelists, Quinn, great job putting the panel together. Wonderful job today.
Thanks, everybody. Make sure you get your QR code signed up and make sure you get Atlanta to pursue these relationships so we can build a stronger organization. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Thanks, everybody.